I still remember the first time I saw Beth. She was standing in the college coffee shop, headphones on, lip caught between her teeth, texting furiously like she was fighting with the whole world and didn't care who noticed. One of those people who won't let you look away. Blue-dyed hair, chipped nail polish, a laugh that could peel the paint off walls. We got together fast, the way people who are running from something always do. By the end of the semester, it was her thrift store shirts mixed with my work polos falling out of laundry baskets. On weekends, she'd drag me to used record stores and midnight movies. I'd tease her about her conspiracy podcasts, and she'd steal my French fries when she thought I wasn't looking. We fought a lot, but never about anything that mattered. Not really. Beth liked to keep things moving. I preferred the comfort of routines. She'd change jobs every month, always between things, but never lost. She kept talking about leaving New Mexico for the coast, starting a new life, about how nobody's dreams survive long in a town where going to Walmart is what people look forward to. My world was smaller. A biology major with student debt, an angry old roommate back at the apartment, summer classes breathing down my neck. I told myself I was practical. Beth made fun of me for it, said I'd end up stuck exactly where I didn't want to be, just like everyone else. We'd been together just over 2 years by the time this trip came up. Beth's family reunion in California, something she claimed she didn't care about, but kept stress-eating sour candies over. Meeting her family again was never my idea of a vacation, but I went anyway. She promised long drives, Pacific sunsets, and a glimpse of the dumb world that made me. I packed worn shirts and textbooks in the trunk. She filled the rest of the back seat with snacks and cassette tapes, scribbled with names like Escape Mix Volume 2. We left on a July morning, road dust on the bumper, Beth singing off-key to the radio. I thought if we could just keep moving, away from home, away from old fights and expectations, maybe nothing would catch up to us. Maybe we'd remember how to be ourselves again. Not just people stuck together by habit and hope. I couldn't tell you when things started to feel wrong. Maybe it was the moment we pulled off the main road and the navigation app couldn't find us anymore, and everything started to feel 2 degrees off in that hollowed-out little town that clung to the highway, where the only sign of life was a faded neon vacancy sign blinking behind yellowed glass. Beth and I didn't want to stop. We'd been fighting on and off since Las Cruces, pressing each other's nerves in that quiet way couples do when they know places that hurt. She wanted me to go with her to visit her parents. I wanted to get back to school before my roommate trashed the place. Neither one of us said what we meant. Not exactly. Maybe that was what started to unravel everything. We ended up at that hotel out of exhaustion more than choice. The first one we tried had the lobby lights dead and a for sale sign taped crooked in the window. The next place, a crumbling 2-story walk-up, had a front desk with nobody behind the plexiglass. I pressed the bell. No answer. Beth checked her phone. No service. She just shrugged, said it was fine, said she'd seen worse on road trips. That was when I saw him. A clown. No other word for it. Drifting along the far end of the parking lot, his clothes too big, hanging off broad shoulders. Spattered chevrons painted on white canvas skin. A red mouth dragging sharp up either cheek, wide as a wound. He was staring through dusty car windows, one after the next. I watched his head tilt, eyes searching each dark interior, pausing sometimes, like he recognized something or someone. His gloved hand hovered inches from the glass, never touching, just floating there. He didn't act drunk. And he didn't act like some out-of-work birthday clown on a bender. He moved with this peculiar purpose, jerky but alert, an animal looking for the next open door. Something cold fluttered at the base of my stomach. This is where the night changed. Beth didn't see him at first. She was still fussing at the broken touchscreen on the front desk. By the time she looked up, the clown had vanished behind a dented van near the ice machine. "We should go," I said, forcing flatness into my tone. "We're fine. Quit being paranoid." I could tell she didn't believe herself. The way she looked for the car keys again, then set them down, then picked them up. As we crossed back to the car, I noticed a second clown. This one was sitting on the hood of a beat-up sedan parked beside us. He was heavier, his costume clown bright but smeared. His painted face was cracked. He didn't smile. He just watched us, eyes rimmed in red, hands folded quiet on his knees. Every instinct said to keep moving, but then he tugged a glossy flyer from his pocket and held it out. The clown's voice was slow, almost cheerful. "You folks passing through? Or did you come for the show?" "Just driving, heading east." He grinned, revealing too many teeth. "Perfect night for it. You should come by. The spectacular circus. Best show for 100 miles. It don't matter if you're far from home. That's what we're here for." He pushed the flyer into my hand. The spectacular circus screamed in black block letters. No address, just a direction and a time. Midnight. Beth was already sliding into the passenger seat, muttering about getting out of here. But the clown was still looking at me, like he expected something, some word or recognition. His stare pressed against my scalp. I shoved the flyer in my pocket and gunned the engine. We peeled out, gravel spitting under the wheels. Neither of us wanted to say it, but I could tell she was shaken. I kept glancing at her, she at me. She tried to brush it off, said I was being weird, but her knee stemmed the whole 10 miles out of town. The highway ran flat under the cold moon, the radio picking up only static and bursts of mariachi lost between hills. A few miles later, we saw it, half hidden behind broken down cars. A circus tent slumped in the cracked dirt. Strips of light trickled out from the bottom of the canvas. A plastic sign leaned against a cinder block. The spectacular circus. One night only. Nobody else around. Beth wanted to look. She reached over, fingers thin and shaking on the door handle. "I'm cool off this, babe," I said. But she had something stubborn in her. Once she saw something, she had to know where it went. "Come on, it'll be a story." The parking lot was half empty. Clowns milled among the cars, their paint cracked and running, their movements too big and too slow. One wore a dirty suit and carried a bouquet of plastic flowers. Another hunched beside a trash can with his head in his hands, rocking gently. We followed hand-painted signs to the ticket booth, a plywood box manned by a figure half hidden behind a red bandana. "2 for the haunted ride," Beth said, trying to sound amused, like this was a dare she meant to win. The carny's eyes were shiny and black, set too deep in his face. He pressed 2 grimy tickets into her hand and said, "Special night. Show's just for you." The popcorn stand reeked of burnt oil. The kernels were chewy and tasted faintly metallic, but Beth kept eating, as if stubbornness alone could make it feel normal. Inside the tent, it was airless. Heat pressed down on us, something old and damp underneath. Red string lights shivered overhead, hung too low, making everything look jaundiced and weak. We stepped into the ride car, an ancient metal thing with flaking paint and a safety bar that creaked after every bump. The seats stuck to the backs of our thighs. The carny gave one last hollow smile and pulled the lever. The ride lurched forward. A corridor twisted through plywood walls. Cages jammed against the track. At first it felt cheesy. Not scary, just stupid. Stuffed zombies in ripped clothes, plastic rats nailed to the panels. But then the cages changed. People inside, silent, their eyes too wide, pressed back into the shadows. I tried to tell myself it was part of the show, but their bodies didn't move right, and one woman's dress was matted with something dark and clotted. She locked eyes with me, her lips moving silently, teeth bloody and broken. Beth grabbed my hand, squeezing hard. We passed more cages. Faces lurched up, then sank back out of sight. No groaning, no acting, just staring, hungry, desperate. Something scraped along the floor under us, a high metallic screech. The ride bumped, then stopped in front of a cage with a man hunched inside, banging his head over and over against steel bars. Wet smacks. I heard a bone crack. Blood leaked from his scalp in slow, gleaming trickles. I reached for Beth. Her nails cut into my arm. The ride started again, faster. Someone whispered something from the next cage. It was my name. I looked, but the speaker pulled back into blackness before I saw their face. The lights flickered, humming, then dropped out all at once. The car shuddered and stopped dead. Total dark. I felt Beth beside me, her breath sharp and fast. I tried to sound steady. It's just part of the show. But then, nothing. I reached out and felt the empty seat. Beth was gone. I called her name. Once, twice, louder. Only the echo came back. The lights snapped on. A bruised, low red glow around the floor, just bright enough to make shapes out of shadows. The seat next to me was still empty. Her popcorn had fallen, kernels scattered on the metal floor, sticky with something that wasn't butter. I tried to scramble out. The safety bar wouldn't move. The car started to slide forward on its own. The track doubled back through darkness. The cages crept in closer. This time, the people inside weren't just staring. They were watching, following me with every step, lips twitching, fingers flexing around the bars. One hand slipped out, a wrist bent wrong, nails torn and black. Fingers brushed my arm, dragging a burning line of cold down my skin. Whispers shivered along the walls. Names. My name. Beth's. My mother's. Whispers I couldn't make out. Voices that cracked and giggled and sobbed. Somewhere beneath us, something banged again and again, farther and farther away. The cart jerked to a stop. Lights blinked out. Something climbed onto the seat behind me, weight settling, breath cold and moist on my neck. The chemical tang of grease paint pressed into my nose. "You think you're better than us," the clown whispered. Voice spooled out, flat and lazy. His hand closed over my shoulder, nails pressing in, deliberate and slow. She doesn't. That's why she gets to choose. The cart snapped forward. The clown was gone. Only the mark of his grip remained. Ahead, a wide space opened. The cage is gone. Just a room smeared with dark stains and pit marks. Under a lone, flickering bulb, the carny stood, rocking, slow clapping. His face was all planes and shadows, his smile too wide for bone. "Still with us," he said, words drifting in the dusty air. "You made it farther than most." I screamed, for Beth, for help, for anything. He smiled, lips parting over gray plaque teeth. "You'll see her again. That's part of it. We will give you a night to remember." The cart slid past through ripped curtains and a door that groaned on rusted hinges. Then it stopped. I pushed my way out, lungs burning. Outside, the circus had changed. Everything was brighter. Lights so harsh they cut my eyes, yanking color into cruel focus. The music had shifted. Slow, thick drums pounding under a calliope that spiraled in and out of tune, layered with static and whispers. The tents gaped open, and the air shimmered with movement. People everywhere. Not a crowd, no audience, no families. Performers clustered in jagged circles, clowns lurking near the shadows, strong men streaked in sweat and old scars, contortionists bent the wrong way by pain or practice. Some of them were naked under costumes, faces hidden, bodies marked up by old wounds and newer ones. They all moved together, circling the big tent at the center, eyes locked on something just out of sight. Beth. Two clowns held her upright, arms wrenched behind her back. Her hair fell in a curtain over her eyes, but I could still see her mouth moving soundlessly. She wasn't screaming. She didn't look at me, even when I called her name. I tried to run, feet pounding useless at the dirt, hands clawing for anything to grab. Strong arms caught me from behind and pulled me off my feet. I kicked, screamed. No one seemed to give a shit. I was dragged to the center ring and forced to my knees. The carny stepped forward, hands raised for silence. "This is what we always do," he said. His voice rang weirdly in the hollow air. Spots danced in my eyes. I tried to reach Beth. The carny blocked me. I remember her voice, finally. It was a quiet, small thing. "I'm sorry." And the music swelled. The chanting grew. I felt something sharp bite into my scalp, smelled metal and sourness, something splitting inside. I know I ran, through tents ripped and flapping, past faces grinning out of cracked grease paint, over dark stains and broken glass, and the slick of blood on my hands. The desert swallowed everything behind me. When the sun came up, there was nothing. Where the circus had squatted, just tire ruts and trash. Tents gone, air clear of music or screaming. The hotel stood empty, doors swinging, nobody inside. No sign of Beth, no sign of anything that happened. I went to the cops, told it straight. They called my parents, said Beth ran off, said the town was barely there, just a pit stop with no circus, no one around for miles. Said I must have lost it. Everyone who knew us thought I had something to do with Beth disappearing. The cops, her family, her friends, everyone we ever knew, except my closest friends and family. Summer crawled by, slow and dull as syrup. A few months later, drinking with friends in a basement full of old magazines, we found the stories. Black and white, yellowed and curling. A traveling circus. Same town, same name. 50 years gone now. The night a girl was taken, her boyfriend came back wild. Blood everywhere. He shot the carnies. Everyone. Lined up the bodies for the police under the cold morning sun. The faces in the pictures, clowns, strongmen, the carny, They were the same as the ones I saw that night, smiling, waiting. More often than not, late at night, I hear a dull rhythm I can't place at first, not loud enough to call it noise, not steady enough to call it music, just something hitting something else, somewhere far away. I don't look toward the streetlights anymore, but sometimes I still catch movement in the corner of my eye, a shape where a person shouldn't be, a smile that lasts a second longer than it should. I don't need to see her clearly to know it's Beth. I stopped needing proof a long time ago, and when it happens, there's a smell that doesn't belong to this town. Burnt sugar, old grease, something sweet that's already started to rot. It sticks in the back of my throat, the way a bad memory does. That's how I know it isn't over. Not because of the circus, because of her. I don't know where Beth is now. I don't know if she's still somewhere out there, or if what I remember of her is all that's left. I tell myself there was nothing I could have done, that I didn't know, but some nights, all I can think about is the moment I should have grabbed her hand and didn't.